Welcome, everyone, to the PYRESWAP show for Thankful Thursday. I feel real good right now, by the way, too, because I'm just going to get right off the bat. The first video we posted on TikTok yesterday actually was experiencing spikes in virality, and and it got like 1,800 views, by the way. In fact, an hour or so ago, it was getting like 100 views every like 10 minutes. Does that make sense? So comparison to this number, because by the way, these videos don't stop working after you post them. Right now, we're on a twice-a-day trickle, but this isn't even the most recent video. This is a video that was posted like second to last, right? So the last video is also getting a few hundred views. Does that make sense? So all of these videos continue now working in parallel, kind of like a, if you guys know how like corrected AC looks, it's like you have a new standard of eyeballs. So the point being is that you have multiple videos working at the same time that gets new eyeballs. So first of all, we now have a non-zero and a measurably non-zero amount of new eyeballs per day. Does that make sense? Now, of the 1,800 people that watched this video, did any of them join the Discord? I don't know. I have no fucking idea. We can go look at that later. I don't really expect to see people stampeding into the Discord in the first week. I expect the first week to be where the profiles kind of season themselves. Does that make sense? But yeah, legitimately, if you go look at our TikTok, it's tiktok.com/ our TikTok's username is PYRESWAP.com. If you go look at it, you can see top 5 cities for hectomillionaires already has 1,800 views. Surprise! We have people liking the profile now, people looking at different videos. So all we're gonna do is just now have this pumping out consistently. Does that make sense? And eventually you end up with a consistent value that people continue to tune into you for. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So by the way, these are all new eyeballs that we don't have to vamp from somewhere else in crypto Twitter or somewhere else in the Phantom Opera ecosystem or Sonic or some shit like that. These are all new eyeballs, like people that are fresh off the boat, as you would say. I'm kidding. But yeah, like legitimately, within the first few videos, it is showing the efficacy of the strategy because this is just the first brand, like I was saying yesterday. So Thankful Thursday, I'm thankful that I'm able to show you guys this within one fucking day. Does that make sense? I'm so fucking thankful. I'm so thankful that this is actually exceeding expectations. And now that we know what's going to happen in a single day, all we're going to do is apply consistency to it, which by the way is already happening because within 24 hours, we could be spinning up the next brand. Does that make sense? So within 48 hours, we could legitimately have 4 videos dropping, 2 on 2 brands daily. Does that make sense? And they start beginning to work. And as these things begin to compound and spin up, by the way, is Kia Dezo here today? I wanted to give a shout out to Kia Dezo because, yeah, Kia Dezo is here. Yeah, Kia Dezo, I saw that your videos actually got a few hundred. You did a TikTok version of the features and benefits, and I saw that it also got a few hundred views. But anyways, this is now something that I don't have to fucking focus on as much. So I can now continue to build things in parallel. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a long time to get the first one running, but then the second one and the third one, they're going to happen a lot faster. Does that make sense? As soon as by the way, I have so many DMs right now, so many and new ones every day. I'm going to try to get through a lot of them tomorrow. Does that make sense? So if you're still waiting for a DM reply from me, I'm going to try to crush that shit tomorrow. Does that make sense? Because I feel great now. I feel legitimately like I was in the valley of the shadow of death and now I'm fucking climbing out. Does that make sense? Well, there you go. And I like to see that Maddie is still being consistent as ever at being a channeler. So yeah, bravo. We are going to make it, and we are all going to make it. Does that make sense? If you're watching this, yeah, I have great news about this project. It is going to win. In fact, because let's see, is GV in here in the audience? Okay, well I wish he was, but anyways, people keep asking like, are we gonna go to Sonic? Guys, Phantom Opera as a blockchain is like a fossil record. Does that make sense? Like, everything that's on Phantom remains on Phantom. Right now, when Sonic does a promotion, you can move money over to Sonic. But if you guys know anything about how that works, because I think you guys have heard of Metatrage before, what does that do for Phantom and what does that do for Sonic? Because for those of you who know, legitimately, that will become a Metatrage opportunity even if they don't allow it themselves. Does that make sense? Because what they'll end up doing is people will end up dumping Sonic on a centralized exchange, then buying Phantom on a centralized exchange, going back on chain, meeting it over, and then doing the same thing over and over again. Does that make sense to you guys? So the Sonic thing, it's going to reduce Phantom's market cap, but it's going to make the Phantom token go up. Does that make sense? It'll increase Sonic's market cap, but it'll make the Sonic token go down. Does that make sense? You guys all know how that type of portal already works, because whenever you see people not meeting on PYRESWAP, it means the token you would mint for is not worth as much as the token you would burn for. Does that make sense? We can absolutely go to Sonic as a chain, but we're not going to go to any new chain without proving our concepts on the chain we're on first. And for those of you who really know, our ambitions here are even bigger than just getting to peg, okay? I know that I'm not trying to mock the way you guys feel, but for me, at least, if I can see Maddie play the IWV without me having to personally encourage him, right? And if I can see Fexer do Metatrage without me having to convince him of it, I already know that we will eventually just burn to the point where we're at peg. Does that make sense? But I don't just want 2 guys doing it. I want like hundreds of people doing it. Does that make sense? That's what will really make the economy come to life. So instead of figuring out how I can saturate a small crypto economy with by doing the marketing as a DApp in the season of meme coins, we're just going to do the harder thing. Does that make sense? We're going to target the hardest thing. We're going to dominate there, and that way no one's going to be able to touch us. We're going to be 10 times better than everybody else. And I've done this before as well. I just chose to do it the hardest way because I knew that nobody else could compete with me in the arena where I can out-suffer everyone. Does that make sense? I'm not talking about you, my beloved user base. I'm talking about my unnamed competitors. Does that make sense? I'm not gonna name who I think my competitors are, but I want you guys to know it's from getting gritty like that. That's how you fucking win. Does that make sense? So like again, we don't quit and we don't fail. Red Candles can't kill this project. And within the last 24 hours, I have more than enough. I have a sign from God himself that we did it the right way. It just took so fucking long. I have a sign from God. I guess I shouldn't swear while I say God, but you guys don't care. Fuck yeah. Hell yes. 1,800 views. Yeah, 1,800 views, which is, again, it's less than 24 hours old. So we're getting over 100 views an hour. This is an account that has like 7 followers. It's got like 5 followers. I have no idea. But again, TikTok is already going to viralize our content because we're doing stuff that's educational and it's easy to watch. Does that make sense? The videos are like 25 seconds long. You get a top 5 list. Arguably, shit, Kia Dezo, you've watched them. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like, it's not an advertisement. It's actually like, wow, this is interesting, right? It's like anybody who's going to scroll short form. Yeah. Yes, Maddie. In fact, we use a platform called Social Champ to literally cross-post. Yes. And Kia Dezo, yeah, the video content is high. Like, it's high quality, high effort. Yeah. Because we're using we basically paid for a year of licensing for something called motionarray.com. So we already have like really high quality backgrounds. So in theory, we have everything we need to really crush the game of short form. So for those of you who don't know, this is just one trio of branding. And yes, you can see it on Instagram as well. But I'll tell you this, Maddie, Instagram and Facebook, they've only shown like a few dozen views per video. Does that make sense? So just to be clear, we have not really been, TikTok has been much kinder to us. Granted, we're only like 3 or 4 videos in. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Hey, Maddie, it's okay. You can at least see all the same videos. Does that make sense? You know, different platforms go viral at different times. Does that make sense? Because they get sequenced different times. But yeah. Yeah, exactly, Kita. So yeah. And by the way, I've been doing a lot of research on marketing, and a social content attention is kind of like a lukewarm lead. It's not the coldest of lead, and it's not the hottest of leads. But by the way, I also made adjustments to our link tree. Have you guys seen our link tree? You should go see our link tree right now. Go look at our link tree. I'll tell you what it is. It's linktr.ee/PYRESWAP. By the way, if you saw it before, we had like so many links. Now we only have like 4 links. We have the social icons and we have 4 links. And the language is a little bit better because now instead of it saying community, websites, it now says join your new community. And then for websites, it says explore the website empowering you. Does that make sense to you guys in the sections? Because when you use language like that, it doesn't even be, yeah, thank you, Trigger. And again, simplified, right? Because again, we just want to capture them either by following the Twitter. Oh, by the way, Trigger, I've already seen analytics, And your Twitter posts have actually been doing great for the link tree, by the way. So the good news is I'm going to try to make it so that now the short form content is beating that. Does that make sense? But the point being is that it did end up driving like a good, I think like 17 people to Discord. Like, I don't know if they joined, but they clicked. Does that make sense? So we've already seen, since we started this, again, we've only been doing videos now for like 2 days. 17 people have at least clicked the Discord link, and that's with not many views at all. Does that make sense? We're literally just getting out of the garage, okay? So again, if we got 17 clicks in 48 hours, okay, we'll come back to it, okay? Again, that's not going to be shit when we're done. That's not going to be shit, because I'm going to literally make it Black Friday in this fucking Discord. For those of you who aren't American, Black Friday, back before e-commerce killed retail, was a holiday where we all decided that we're not going to sleep on the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, exactly that. And we're all going to camp in front of Walmart, and then at the moment Walmart opens, we're all going to shoot each other in order to get savings. And yeah, me personally, I only went once, and yeah, it's arguably some of the... It really shows you what the power of marketing is, by the way. But anyways, point being, if you go look at our link tree, it's simplified. If you go look at our bios, we have changed some of the language in our bios. We're also going to change the call to action in the video after video 5. So I think we have like 4 or 5 videos queued up right now. One of these next videos, it might be on Saturday. It's going to have a different CTA, and I think the CTA says, don't get financially cuckolded, and then it says, explore what's behind our profile or something like that. It's a shorter CTA. It starts off with what they call a strong verb. Does that make sense? Do you guys know what a verb is? So a CTA should start with a strong verb, which is kind of like emotive, and it talks about value. And we're not going to say link in bio, because link in bio, one, sometimes you get censored, and then 2, people are so kind of like inundated with this message, they get numb to it, right? So we're going to use like a power verb to literally say, explore what's behind our profile. And it kind of implies that you're going to the link tree. Make sense to you guys? Right? I'm not going to get perfectionist now. The whole thing about it is now just tuning the engine, because I can focus just on marketing strategy while the videos roll out automatically. Does that make sense? And we're going to go from 2 videos a day to 4 videos a day. And then I'm going to work with Chiadezo on getting the 3rd brand, which will be the economics and finance quizzes. And that will be our 3rd brand. And then we'll have 6 videos a day. And then these videos will viralize all on their own, because these platforms are kind of guaranteed to do that. Some of these viral videos will end up getting new people to follow us, and then new people to join the Discord. From that group of people, some people can be educated about what PYRESWAP has to offer them, even if they've never heard of Avalanche or Phantom or BNB. Does that make sense? They've probably heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Does that make sense? Like, most people who are going to watch finance and econ content have heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but they might not have heard of these other projects. Fact of the matter is that we might need to, as a project, figure out how to get more beginner friendly. That is on me. That is also on me. But I'm not going to focus on that until we at least have an A to Z showing that we are now getting new eyeballs every day. Do you guys understand? We have awareness generating activities now. We have AGAs. We finally have an AGA. I want to like say a prayer, you guys. Like, I can't believe this took as long as it did. But anyways, our AGAs are going to compound each other, because do you guys remember me talking about stochastics? Stochastics. This is one of Five's favorite words, by the way. And it's always one of those things where I kind of realize nobody knows what I'm talking about anymore. Who here has ever heard me use this word for content, or who here knows this word from their own experience? Anybody? Do you guys want me to start from the beginning? Okay. You guys, I literally feel like I just got back from war. I can't even explain this. Anyways, okay. Oh yeah, Maddie, did you know? Yeah, you gave out that channeler strategy an hour early. Did you do that on purpose? Because okay, yeah, no big deal. I just wanted to make sure you knew what that was. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin's at like 97,000. Like, how fucking cool is that, right? Did you guys see that? Bitcoin is at now it's at 90. Hang on, let me refresh. Okay, Bitcoin's at 97,000, you guys. 97,000. Bullish. Yeah, bullish. By the way, you guys, I'm not like gonna get behind the Bitcoin pump because on a fundamental level, you always want to be betting on yourself. Does that make sense? When you bet on yourself, you put the onus of responsibility on yourself. Does that make sense? Like, do you guys want to know? I just want you to know my portfolio is focused around the success of this project. Okay? I don't care if you guys are diversified, but like me personally, I have to be all in with my ships burned. Does that make sense? I have like other various things that make me income here and there, but like never, yeah, like I'm not gonna operate like as if any of them are gonna make me more money than just making PYRESWAP work. Does that make sense? Because I already have spent so much effort studying and learning what it would take to win. So now I'm just gonna win. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not gonna quit, I'm not gonna fail, right? So unless somebody wants to come shoot me, we're gonna make it. And if I don't die, we'll still make it, okay? We might make it faster than you think. Anyways, stochastics, what the fuck does that mean? In fact, let's find out. Let's go see what Wikipedia says. Yeah. A stochastic from ancient Greece, which is really like aim or guess, stokos, is the property of being well described by a random probability distribution. So I want you guys to know something. Trigger would tell you this. Trigger, would you agree that when you're posting on Twitter, you never really know which post is going to get retweeted 3 times or which one's going to get retweeted 30 times, right? Like, you don't really know like how that's going to turn out, right? Is Trigger still with us? I know that he jumps in and jumps out. Yeah, exactly. So all we can do on our part is just be consistent with our content output, right? And then, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, you do get a sense for when certain things are quality for sure. But then sometimes, like randomly as fuck, something will do well. Sometimes you have high expectations for something and it doesn't do well at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the fact of the matter is that when it comes to navigating stochastics, which is like a process where you think there's random variables, all you can do is lean in on your own consistency. Does that make sense? So how are we going to succeed at marketing? Like, how are we going to succeed at marketing? One, like, let's put it this way. We did those 4 YouTube interviews back in June. It was like a random chance. I didn't know which ones were going to do well or which ones weren't. Does that make sense? I didn't know that until like later on. It was really more like proven correct. Does that make sense? So the fact of the matter is, in order for us to succeed at marketing, it really involves a bunch of small, consistent things happening all the time. Meaning, like these processes are always happening. Because if they're always happening consistently, they're always working for us. And then eventually you just have a success rate. Does that make sense? So when I talk about stochastics, I know that for a lot of people, they think a project does well because of like one podcast or like one video or like one fucking partnership or something. But like, again, we already had an explosive video with your bumps and that wasn't it. Does that make sense to you guys? But had we gone all the way to the moon and all the way to Peg from that one video, we would all think, oh, it was that one video that did it for us. Does that make sense? So when you're a layman, when you're not really like involved in the marketing process, you think that marketing is an event. Does that make sense? Like, marketing is some sort of event happening. And there are things like publicity stunts or advertisements or interviews and things like that, right? But those are kind of just like components within the grander thing, which is marketing. Because in order for marketing to really work, it needs a cadence, it needs a strategy, and then it needs analytics and actual data. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, why are we going to win at marketing? Because we're gonna just approach marketing as if we're paying people in New York millions of dollars to do this. Because I'm gonna lean in on my strength, which is my ability to rapidly learn. So I'm gonna just read, I guess, my 7th marketing book soon, and then I'll know marketing better than the guys with master's degrees in it. Make sense? And then at this point, All I have to do is just set up a marketing system where we have things happening regularly that get us new attention, new consideration, and new purchase, new retention, and new advocacy. Does that make sense? And legitimately, marketing is a psychology process. You're only thinking about human eyeballs and the things that you can communicate to them in like split seconds. Make sense? It's not the same thing as advertising, not the same thing. But like legitimately, we took no lens at this when we were building the project. I was only talking about features. I was only talking about like terminal utility. I sounded like a fucking, a gibberish cannon. And when I'm finally done with these processes, I might begin to adjust some of the language in things like our documentation or other places on the site, or maybe even the NFB pop-up. I will adjust the language to make it a little bit better for marketing. And we also did that for the warning labels already, by the way. But like when these things finally start making sense from a marketing perspective, we're just gonna have these things happening, and little by little, it'll be again like a new dimension opening up. Remember I was talking, Alessio, about how if you shoot a hole in the canoe, it adds a new dimension, right? Because first it's a trickle, right? I know that shooting a hole in the canoe that doesn't sound like going to the moon. That sounds like sinking a ship. But I mean that if we're talking about a fire sprinkler, right? If we talk about the water system being added in as a new dimension because it's a pressure change, right? A small hole is okay, Alessio, yeah. A small change in like the input, if you put enough pressure like through that small, a new dimension means a new exponent. That's all I'm saying. A new dimension means a new exponent. And legitimately, our first video, not our first video, but like the first video that we have kind of in the process, already 1,800 views in the first 24 hours. I did not expect it to do very well at all. I was hoping maybe it could do better than the first one. I said like, hey, could maybe do 200? And yeah, it was getting 200 videos in like 20 minutes, not even that long ago. It might blow up again because apparently TikTok like shuffles you in and out of attention. Does that make sense? So the point being is that I'm going to kind of get my hands off of it soon. Does that make sense? And I'm going to let the marketing engine start moving. I'm going to focus instead of tuning this one to perfection, I'm going to get working on building the second one. And then I'm going to build the third one with Chiadezo. And then we're going to get like 5 to 10 Twitter ambassadors. Does that make sense? Because Trigger and Whisper have already, I already made the point of making the training material for them. And I'm going to be able to go on top of the fact that we'll have 3 different brands punching out content, and the fact that we'll have, 6 to 9 to 12 Twitter ambassadors also punching out content. Then I'm going to go on a fucking YouTube tour of 20 to 40 to 60 YouTube interviews, and then we'll just have like a goddamn content deluge. Does that make sense to you guys? We will have a deluge of content. And then when we have a deluge of content, you'll be like, wow, people will come in here and they'll think it was like one video that did it. And no, it was not one video that did it. It was 7 books. It was 7 months. It was a bunch of realizing that I was wrong about things, realizing that the marketing made us shifts, and then also getting to a point where we have the advantage and everybody else is at a disadvantage, where we're now in the lead and everybody else is in the lag. Does that make sense? It takes longer to build a nuclear reactor than it does to build a firework. Most people think of marketing as a firework. I'm not trying to build a pump and dump DApp, right? Most DApps, right, they're just trying to build a pump and dump and say, even Olympus DAO was like, wow, that was so fun, right? That was, I know people who made money. That's not how, that's not the story of this, because I want you guys to know it's kind of embarrassing that all of Web3 thinks that launches are when the new money happens, only because you can front run a bunch of other people that are trying to front run for hype. Meanwhile, this hype is like botted by the people developing the project. So like these launches are getting so fake now, they're gonna literally squeeze out all the actual money of it, if that makes sense. I think that now, and by the way, I think, I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but I hear that shorting launches when you think they're at peak, that's actually where the real money's at, because most people won't do that. But yeah, anyways, PYRESWAP meant to be a mega DApp where whatever the season, there's always new potential, new opportunity. And we're going to manifest that and create that. It's already in our roadmap. Why the fuck wouldn't we do it? Anyways, so Thankful Thursday. Let me go back to stochastics. I just feel high energy today. Can you guys feel it? Like, I just feel it. Okay, so I'm thankful for feeling high energy today because I am just I have already seen like now a proof that like my whole theoretics were correct about this. Does that make sense? Because now that I'm able to, again, if I can get one post to get over 1,000 views on any platform, all I can do now is tune it to the point where we now start getting conversion off of videos just like that. Sometimes, by the way, we'll be able to live stream on TikTok too once we get 1,000 followers. So we might switch the CTA over to follow the account, because once we start getting followers for the account, more on that later. We might make half the videos with a follow the account CTA and the other one with a click the link in our bio CTA. Does that make sense? Anyways, what are stochastics? Stochastics are a whole bunch of things happening at the same time where it appears like chaotic. It appears to be chaotic and random, but it's not. It actually has an order to it. But because it's so dynamic and it involves so many moving components, people think it's like a phenomenon. People think it's like magic. Marketing has stochastics involved, just like economics does, just like things like a lot of PYRESWAP, to be honest. But the point being is, like, this is the approach I was gonna take to marketing, because when you try to copy something as a layman, you end up running a cargo cult. Have you guys heard me talk about cargo cults before? Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Dr. Mac is an actual pulmonologist. Now, if all I knew was that Dr. Mac was a doctor and I wanted to like superficially do what I think a doctor does in order to make like a doctor-sized income. Well, Seabiscuit, that's also correct. That's also correct. Yeah, like legitimately, yeah, because warfare, it also is useful for that. The Viet Cong used tunnels for that. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, legitimately correct. And that is really just guerrilla tactics in general. But again, if you wanted to be a doctor, like, hey, I want to be a medical doctor in the United States because I want to make 6 figures, right? And I want to run my own business. And you didn't go learn what a doctor learns, and you wanted to basically be a quack. You're like, okay, what do I need? I need white lab coats. I need an office, right? I need to get a stethoscope. I need clipboards, right? And like you're thinking about, okay, I need a waiting room. I need magazines for the waiting room. I need pamphlets for pharmaceuticals or whatever. I need an office line, right? And the thing is, if you ask a doctor what it took to be a doctor, they wouldn't like give you a list of inventory for how to build a doctor's office. Does that make sense? They wouldn't be like, oh, well, yeah, you need to have hand sanitizer at your front desk. Like, that's not what Dr. Mac would say at first, right? He would tell you, like, well, you need to learn a whole bunch of things that doctors know. Does that make sense? Because there's no point in getting the fucking chairs for the waiting room and hiring nurses and PAs and what have you. There's no point in getting clipboards. There's no point in getting hand sanitizer if once they get back there and they talk to you, you're going to fucking mistreat them. You're going to be a fucking quack. Does that make sense? Because, like, you're not going to actually know on the ed official what it takes to succeed at being a doctor. You're just going to know how to mimic being a doctor on the surface. So when people were making suggestions, indeed, sir, yeah. So when people are making suggestions and they would say things like, have you thought about getting on altcoin daily or like whiteboard crypto? I'm like, that's not even a suggestion. Like, that's literally like saying, how do I describe it? It's like if you had to go fix a roof and someone said, well, have you thought about climbing up onto it first? It's like, that's not like, what are you fucking saying? Yeah, like, did you think that's where I had trouble? Right? And it's like, if somebody came to Dr. Mac and they said like, I want to become a doctor, and like Dr. Mac would be like, have you looked at the price of clipboards lately? That's not what he would fucking say. Right? So a lot of people, again, and I'm not mad at you guys, but you guys didn't really have the necessary need to go look deeper, right? Because we already did that shit in June, right? So like, am I gonna just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall? I'm trying to get us to the top 100 market caps, right? I'm not gonna fucking half-ass this. Does that make sense? Like, I was wrong. I got 5 Discord servers in 2022. I thought I was good. I'm like, you know what? I have made 8 figures move from Discord announcements before. I'll do it again. I did not do it again. So I'm gonna make 8 figures move again though, and it's gonna come from fucking short form content that funnels to a link tree that funnels to a Discord. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes. Make sense? Yeah. I'm gonna go to the UK and I'm gonna fucking make a crop circle that says PYRESWAP. I'm kidding. Maybe I'm not kidding. You know what I mean? Like whatever the fuck it takes. I don't really expect us to do publicity stunts anytime soon. But legitimately, oh, by the way, Trigger, now that we have short form content coming out, eventually some of it will be worth tweeting, if that makes sense, so it can get repurposed again. Do you guys know what I mean? Right? So like I would say let's talk about that in a week or something like that. Let's talk about that in a week. But yeah, like what people thought marketing was is like, no. Like you're just talking about the way that you, the consumer, experience marketing. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? Like the way that the patient experiences the doctor's office is not the way that the doctor's office is. Do you guys understand what I mean? The way that a patient experiences going to the doctor is not how a doctor experiences being the doctor, right? And solving doctor problems. And I'm saying this allegorically. So again, I didn't want to insult anybody, but like most people's suggestions, yeah. Alessio, yes, thank you for that, and I don't disagree. We will eventually make that happen where we have those longer posts. I am not going to do that yet until I'm done with these things, AGAs happening, because again, we don't need more things on Twitter because Twitter is going to be our CGA anyway. We want new eyeballs. Does that make sense? Right? Now, having educational stuff on Twitter is useful. If people find us on TikTok and then visit our Twitter, for sure. Makes sense? Like that's totally feasible. But until this is happening, there's no point in going to there's no point in building something somewhere where we're not getting new traffic in the first place. Like again, Alessio, I can't stress this enough. We are not treating Twitter like an attention generator. Our ambassadors get us new attention. Our Twitter following already knows about PYRESWAP. Like there's no reason to keep thinking that we just need more of them in here. Like Trigger and Whisper are not half-assing Twitter. Does that make sense? Yeah, like they know about this. Yeah, they would look into it, right? It's fine. But yeah, the point being is that there's no point in doing that until we have AGAs in the background where new people can learn this. Otherwise, Alessio, if I were to, other people have made suggestions like, we need to launch a new type of event. And I'm like, a new type of incentive event. I'm like, to who? The user base we already have, the people that already know about the project. And it's like, we're not going to grow the new user base from launching a Zealy campaign now. Does that make sense? So like, what do you do a Zealy campaign for? You do a Zealy campaign to leverage the entire funnel. So that way you get the people who follow you just on Twitter, you get them to follow both Twitters. You get them to join Discord. You get them to follow our Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, right? So that way you just have like higher growth all around, right? That's what a Zealy campaign is for. You actually just spread people's, like, Zealy campaigns are kind of often more for like converting someone to a higher retention and then getting them to go advocate. But like, Alessio, right now, everybody in the project who's willing to go advocate, they're already advocating. Does that make sense? So like that right there does not move the needle until we have AGAs happening, not on Twitter. We're not going to get a new awareness on Twitter. Does that make sense? Yeah, we're not going to get new awareness on Twitter. Like it's okay if we do from our ambassadors, but like I'm not going to lean on one thing because this is stochastics. We want things happening all over the place in all different formats. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not opposed to making more educational content because now that I can stop spending all my time on this, soon we'll be able to make better YouTube videos too. So again, we're gonna make higher production tutorial videos, and then those videos, they can get clipped up in the short form. And then also I can go back to even being on Twitter in the first place and then writing like, like a fucking thread on Twitter where you post like 7 times in a row and you reply to yourself. I know what that is for sure. Then you can take those educational posts on Twitter, then you can screenshot them all, then you post them on Instagram as a swipe. Did you guys know this? Oh, yeah, but Alessio, yeah. Those campaigns are there to get people to think about like what's in it for them from people that are already in the neighborhood. Does that make sense? So like, it's not a bad idea because they did it for like what, ZK Sync, and they're probably doing it for Sonic as well. But at the same time, I would say that I'm going to try even larger than that. So I don't have to, again, Alessio, you remember when we had that Pyre AVAX giveaway? Yeah. The numbers on that, it was like maybe 5% of people we gave money to actually even played the IWV. Yeah, it was pretty like sad. So like running a free money campaign and like the amount of people that actually like got the idea in their head, it was yeah. What I would rather use, exactly. So what I would rather use than a free money campaign is legitimately just generating a whole bunch of interest from a whole bunch of different areas and then getting people to feel FOMO by also making this Discord livelier. I'm going to get 3,000 more people in this Discord, and they're all going to have questions, and they're all going to have money problems that they want a solution for. And then people will eventually start buying once they see a whole bunch of new people in the fucking Discord. Does that make sense? And then legitimately, then you'll have your runaway hype train, and then you'll fucking go to the moon. Does that make sense? You'll have meterage happen, people won't even notice it. Make sense? Yeah, like you can legitimately, if you get enough people crushed into the same Discord, the price chart will take care of itself, right? Do you guys get it? Because all it's going to take is one person to realize like, wait a minute, I see 10 new people chatting today, didn't see them last week, I'm going to buy now. And then a bunch of other people are going to see the chart going up 10%, 20%. Then it runs away. Then people in the chat get hype. That hype spreads to the new people in chat. Does that make sense? When the new people in chat learn that the old people in chat are making money in this chat, they're going to want to know how to make money, at which point you guys now get to have this amazing opportunity of getting to teach people about PYRESWAP. You get to be 5 for the day. You get to teach it in the way that you understand it. Isn't that great? I can't wait to see you guys attempt to explain this. But yeah, slowly but surely we'll win. Some of those people are going to figure it out from reading the docs. Not everybody though. We'll have to make new videos. We'll have to work on that later. But in the meanwhile, we're just going to focus on getting more people into the Discord. Once they get into the Discord, you've got 4 messages that show up all the time, right? Ultimate hour, ultimate moment, ultimate minute. Then you have a message that says, hey, if you're new, ask questions in the Theurgy channel. So Maddie and Seabiscuit and Javery and Fexer and Clantonso and whoever else becomes a channeler or anybody else, they can answer Q&A in the fucking Theurgy channel and teach them all the magic that the 6 phases of PYRESWAP have to offer. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like again, Alessio, allow me to literally just show you what making the general chat busier with even people who have no idea what's going on. Does that make sense? Like legitimately, like people just chatting about whatever, and then people who already know about the project, they'll be like, wait a minute, that community just has more buzz. I think I'm going to buy the token because this might be the last chance, right? And it'll be like, again, there's people in this server right now, and I know for a fact that they're playing meme coins and stuff, but they don't really want to play meme coins. They want to play this project, but they don't feel the same urgency to buy Pyre Phantom because they don't see the chart moving fast enough yet. Does that make sense? And it's legitimately like, it's like somebody who wants to eat healthy, but they just need to like have junk food one more time. Do you guys know what I mean? That's literally how I describe it. It's like, I want to eat healthy, but I don't see enough urgency in eating healthy yet. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Right? I want eating healthy to give me the same sugary, salty dopamine rush that eating junk food does, right? It's literally that. It's like, I know that I want to eat healthy, but the health food is not exciting me in my marmoset brain the same way that meme coins are. So therefore, they're like, I want to eat healthy, yeah. So all we got to do is make the healthy food exciting. Would you guys agree? Do you guys understand the allegory? Can you guys tell how good of a mood I'm in? Can you guys literally like feel the triumphance? I don't know if that's a real word. Yeah, like I really feel like I just fucking knocked a home run after striking out like for 10 weeks in a row. Indeed. Well, again, Alessio, everything about our charts can do the exact same thing. Yeah, everything about our charts can do the exact same thing. Yeah. Anyways, do you guys understand what stochastics means? Indeed, Trigger. Yeah, that is also true. Yeah, like you can actually just like get rid of that habit over time. And Trigger, that's one of the reasons that we have an epoch system. Do you guys get it? Like it legitimately is there to kind of reinforce and condition a habit. Make sense? Like even if you're not playing, you'll still go look. Does that make sense? Right? It's like even if you're not eating healthy food every day, you might still go at least look at healthy food, right? And that's still good. That's still better than somebody who doesn't look at healthy food at all. Make sense to you guys? Anyways, yeah. So I'm super thankful that within fucking 24 hours, I'm at least seeing the numbers that prove that I'm not on fucking crack, right? I want you guys to understand that, like, when I really make big bets about something and I talk about this plan for a really long time, like, I don't. Here's what I want you guys to know. This matters a lot. I scrutinize myself. And do you guys know why I scrutinize myself? Because I'm completely aware that humans are kind of controlled by their internal cognitive biases. Like, in my mid-20s, in fact, I was a co-author of a webcomic, and this webcomic was themed around cognitive biases. And legitimately, because it was so ingrained to me to be aware of my own cognitive biases, I care a lot about where I might be wrong or where I might be right. But like, I was not happy with the answers I was getting to marketing questions from within Web3. So I just went outside of Web3, where, by the way, there's more money outside of Web3 than in Web3. Just to be clear, there's more money outside of it than inside it. And yeah, I learned the real answers to marketing, so that way I could come back to Web3 and then crush everybody else here, because they don't know the answers. They're just copying off the kid next to them. Does that make sense? It's the same concept. The same way developers just copy off the kid next to them, the marketers, they just copy off the kid next to them. And like, as good as they get, like, it's still not as good as it could be. You know what I mean? Like, billions of dollars like are left on the table because of an ideological schism we have yet to achieve. All right, anyways. Stochasticity is used in many different fields, including natural sciences, such as biology, tech, engineering, image processing, signal processing, computer science, information theory, and telecommunications, chemistry, ecology, neuroscience, physics, and cryptography. It's also, yeah, it's using everything, dude. I don't even know what they're talking about like here. I don't even know why they would limit it here. But anyways, that's what stochastics are. And yeah, do you guys have any questions? Like, I don't even know what to talk about here. Let me see what okay. Our link tree got adjusted. We made some adjustments to our bios. A video published, yeah, it already has like 1,800 views or more. It might have 2,000 now. I have no idea if it's surging or whatever. It might do way good. And again, I already have data that there is merit to this strategy. So all it takes now is dialing in the strategy, and it just took so long to get this strategy out of the fucking garage. And now it's just happening. And we're only gonna get better at it now. Now we can just compound and accelerate, to be clear. We're gonna compound and accelerate. And when you compound and accelerate it, exponential results. All right, I'm done with this episode of the PYRESWAP Show. I think we did very good today. I know that maybe earlier these 3 days. I'm gonna answer all my DMs tomorrow, okay? I'll fucking do it tomorrow. I'll get up early and I'll be motivated, because right now I'm motivated. I feel fucking great. And I'll just crush through all these DMs and people have questions and stuff, and I'll just do it. And like, I'll do it as a, I'll do it, and then I'm gonna stop, and then I'm gonna focus on the second brand, and then I'm not gonna answer my DMs until the second brand. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna try to make it so that like 1 day a week, or at least I answer all DMs, and maybe it'll be Friday, and that way I can stay on top of it, because otherwise, people just DMing me about a bunch of random stuff, it's just not, you guys get it. It is not conducive to the project actually winning. Do you guys get it? Like, sometimes it's like, this has nothing to do with us actually getting a new user base. Should I say getting a larger user base? All right. I have no more questions, and I have, if nobody else has questions, thank you, Dr. Mac, and thank you to everybody else, and thank you to everybody tuning in on Kick and or Twitch. And by the way, once we get 1,000 followers on TikTok, we can just stream this shit on fucking TikTok, and then we'll have more. Holy shit. Okay. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your day.